What it is. Welcome back to the podcast. I am your host, Bethany Skillern, and this is Teach Skills You Learn. I am here to teach you about table saw, your initial maintenance on your new table saw. I just got a Delta 10-inch contractor table saw, and it's 36-725 T as in Tango 2. And I used to be, I think we've already gone through the diatribe of my history prior to where I'm at now, which is in law enforcement. I used to be a cabinet maker by, I used to be a cabinet maker by trade. And that was a good, I'd say 7 years right after high school. And thought I was going to completely own my own shop. So the table saw that I have in front of me would be as you can see, I'm showing you my supplies. I've got two shop towels, shop rags, shop paper towels, whatever you want to call it. And I have wax. And what wax does is it creates or it gives you this protective coating over your iron table, the surface of your table saw. And this is because you want to avoid moisture to contact or make contact with the iron, which causes this really pesky reaction, which is rust. So you want to prevent rust from attacking your table saw. There's ways that you can get rid of rust on a iron table saw. It's a pain in the ass. Requires a grinder. Requires you to basically grind the metal out. I'm explaining that this is a 10-inch contractor's table saw. And again, it's 36-725 T as in Tango 2. And the reason why I picked Delta is because Delta is a very well-trusted brand in the construction community. It's a workhorse. It's a brand that is consistent. It goes through the paces. I had a large, big scale table saw in the shop that I used to work in, and this one is perfect for my needs because one, it isn't too large. Two, it is on wheels, so I can move it around. Three, it does allow me to cut down 4x8 sheets of plywood, which is the most important when you're looking at a table saw. It needs to be able to do the work that you want it to do. Now, I could, which I probably will end up doing still, is using the skill saw, using the fence that I have for ripping and or cross-cutting your plywood sheets. So I'm going to give you a couple of the specifications of this table saw that I have. I don't think anybody cares, but here we are. So the max depth of a 90-degree cut is a 3-inch and 1/8. So that's the height of the table saw blade that you can rip or cut a piece of wood that is 3 inches or 3 1/8 inch thick. Max depth cut of a 45 degree is 2.25. So if you have a piece of material and you're going to make a miter cut of 45 degree, you can have a piece of, you know, thickness of wood that is 2 inches or 2.125, 2.25. Max right blade or the right rip blade. So that's from the fence to the blade on the right hand side. It has the already established piece of tape there that says 30 inches. And then the max rip for on the left hand side, which is 15 inches. So as you can see here on the video, it is going to be your left is my right, your right is my left. And the left-hand side rip, that fence can be at a max of 15 inches. I go to explain that I would very rarely ever use that left-hand side because it's my non-dominant hand. I do show that I have for safety purposes, I do have a guard or a blade guard, which is currently not attached because I am applying this wax. Now, will I be putting it on afterwards? Of course. Will I always have it on? Absolutely not. I mean, I'm not going to always have the rip guard because there's applications in which you can't see your blade and what you need to see when you're, for example, using a sled for detailed cuts, for detailed woodworking. Okay, the motor specifications, 15 amp, 120 volts, and RPMs is rotations per minute. And that is 3,600. So I did pick a 15 amp, 120 volt because anything larger than that would require me to get an electrician in the house for a 240. And I just don't see the need for a 240 volt. I mean, again, for the applications that I'm using this table saw for the needs of my own house, it's just something that I don't think I would need. So, I don't do it. I specifically chose this saw for that purpose. Are there larger grade saws? Yes, that run on a 120. But like I said, for my house applications, what I'm doing, I don't need anything bigger. It's not small, but it's not too large. I'm showing you here new finish. This is what I used to use back in the day when I used to be in cabinet making, and I used to work in my own, out of my own house like I do here. And I've used new finish. It's a soft wax, so I maintain my table saw nicely with that. I'm not using it this time because I did a little bit of research, and they talk about this Johnson's, and I've used Johnson's before, and it's discontinued. Now, if I go on the Amazon, the Johnson's wax is like 260 some bucks, $265 or something like that. And this is $14. So I'm going to stick with this. And the wax that I am using is called True. What's it called? My God. Because it's a new brand that I've picked up, so it's very new to me. It is a hard wax. It's clear, or it's in the container. It is a whitish color. A lot of complaints that people had or have with other waxes is that it is a yellowish tint, and when they apply it to their projects, it also has or gives off this yellowish tint. And as you can see here in the canister, it is a white color, which is not supposed to give off a tint. On a table saw, it doesn't matter whether it has a tint or not. You're not going to tell. You're not going to know. It does not care. The table saw does not care that there's yellow tint. For the purposes of this, I'm showing you it is a whitish color. And for a lot of people, they want to be able to use it in a multi-purpose fashion. So they want to be able to use it for projects as well as for maintenance of and it's going to be a tool that I'm going to say it's a tool. You can also use it on your chisels, and it helps it move freely without friction on your wood projects. And that's kind of imperative when you're dealing with items that tend to stick. You don't want your project, your wood, your piece of wood, whatever it is that you're doing, you don't want it to stick or have reaction where the piece does not move freely. So that's another reason why we use wax on our table, is so that your parts will move freely. Now, I don't know, I haven't, used this product before, so I don't know how many rips, uses you're going to be able to get before you have to apply another wax coating on. So I can't give you a specific amount of, it's going to take 42 boards to cut before you have to reapply. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just here to show you this is how you maintain a table and a table saw. And as I showed you there, the application that I'm doing, which is like a round wax on, wax off type of circular motions. And I'm showing you that the rag is completely dirty. It is going to be dirty for the first application because when they package your iron top, any metal for that matter, especially at that size and thickness, they're going to apply a grease onto the metal top. And they're going to apply a grease just for packaging purposes along with the styrofoam. And you're going to see, you probably saw early on that I was wiping away a lot of styrofoam residue. Don't forget that blade guard. But what I'm trying to say is the cloth is completely dirty because when they package your iron top and your iron, these parts that you have, these metal parts, and you'll get them with machined car parts as well. It's going to have this grease residue on it because it is trying to eliminate or try to prevent moisture from attacking the iron, because when H2O and iron mix, it creates a rust, and they're trying to prevent a rust, this chemical reaction, from happening. So when you put your first application of wax on, your rig is going to be extremely dirty, and that's just the way it is. That's because you're going to do the best that you can to get that grease off, which I used a carb cleaner. I used a solution that takes off that grease, because once I pulled a bag off of the iron table, I had to wipe it down. I had to wipe all that grease off, and so I used the carb cleaner to get that grease remover to just kind of get that grease off. But when you put your first application of wax on, it's going to be very dirty. So it's, by the time you put on a couple applications, it's not going to be, your rag's not going to be dirty anymore. In fact, a lot of times, what we do is we actually start using a cloth rag, and we'll leave that rag inside the tin of the wax. And this is so that you'll always have the applicator inside with the wax, and you just start waxing your table, and you wait, as you're going to see here, in this long, drawn-out thing, is you're going to see that you're going to wait. You're going to apply the wax, and you wait about 5 minutes for that wax to kind of harden up or kind of cure to, it's just like waxing a car. If you've never waxed a car, if you've never used wax before, you apply it in it, because of your rubbing motion, your circular motions, it's going to create friction or heat, and it's going to make the wax, which is hard in the tin, it's going to make it pliable. It's going to make it viscous, and then you're just going to apply it on, and then you're going to wait for 5 minutes, 5 to 10, whatever you want, until that wax hardens again. And then once that wax hardens again, you're going to then take a clean rag, and you're going to wipe, or you're going to rub that wax, the excess wax off, that doesn't become the coating of the tabletop, and then you're done. And then you've got this really slick and smooth surface that is now coated. Now I've touched the tabletop, I've touched the metal rails that the fence slides on, and I've touched all of those parts with the wax. So it's just to prolong the table saw. And after you've waited, like I've said, after you've waited 5 to 10 minutes, you're going to see this white, you're going to see where you've applied your wax, and it's going to kind of turn this light color. It's going to have this white appearance on it, and then that's when you're just going to take your clean rag, and you're going to start wiping it down. And you're gonna, this is just you're gonna put your elbow into it. You're gonna put your foot in it. You're gonna really get a workout in rubbing this in. But you're just gonna rub it in. It's not that serious. It's you're just gonna rub it in, and you're gonna see me rub, and that's the basic. It's very simple. It's just very basic. And, I'm teaching you this for, in hopes that if you do pick up a tool, if you do pick up, a project using tools, hand tools, battery operated tools, if you're using electrical tools, it is, for me, I like to maintain my my stuff. I want to get longevity. I want to get my use out of it. And this is a part of, having or owning a tool, is that you need to do what is necessary to maintain this tool. And so therefore, if it requires me to put on wax, you can also do this to your chisels. Chisels require you to have a whetstone sharpener, and you have. I personally have quite a few. It's like a different grades of stones, and you make them wet, or you soak them in water, and then you slide your chisel, the beveled part, on top or back and forth on the stone, and it sharpens your chisel. This is what you need to be able to have an effective tool. So I can't use a chisel that's dull. There's no point. No use in using a chisel that's dull. I mean, it doesn't. It serves you zero. It serves you zero purpose. It serves you no purpose whatsoever. So you have to have, when you get a set of chisels, you have to have a sharpener. Whether you have a motorized sharpener, whether you have your own set of stones. Your whetstones that you're going to do, then you're going to watch me rub my ass. You're going to rub my finger in this groove here, and I end up cutting myself because the metal is apparently sharper than what I thought it was going to be. And I'm now going to proceed to bleed all over the place, bleed all over the cloth. And it wasn't bad. It wasn't like I was gushing blood. But my DNA now is on that table, so it is what it is. I mean, that is the scars, or that's what you go through as a person that works with your hands. You go through bumps, scratches. I don't know if you've ever there's a term out there with table saws, and that is called a kickback. I've had many kickbacks in my life. Not fun. That's why it is important to respect your tools and what they are capable of doing to you. Because if you don't use it in the right way, or if you become careless, or if you aren't paying attention to what you're doing, you could cause yourself serious harm. Now, there's table saws out there that literally will stop on a dime the second it senses that there's a material that mimics human flesh. I'm saying that like that because I've seen it stop on a hot dog. So anyway, our fantastic technology has changed for the better, for sure, that it can stop literally on a dime to prevent you from losing a digit, because there are plenty of people out there that have lost digits to these blades because they are moving at a very quick speed. And if you're not watching where your body parts are, you could get cut, seriously harmed, if not you could lose a finger or limb. Plenty of people have in the past. So I got off on a tangent, but I apologize. But it is important that you do understand that a tool is really it's a great benefit for you as for efficiency, but it also is something that is has a danger to it. So if you're not paying attention, if you're not wearing safety, safety goggles or glasses to prevent slivers or shards from going into your eye, ear protection because it is loud, and to not wear loose clothing. It's so important that people that work in a shop, that work near power tools like these, that they are not wearing loose fitting, loose clothing so it gets caught. And what's it going to do is, it's going to rip the clothing, but if it catches right, it can really pull you into the blade. And that's a very scary situation for one person to ever have to experience. So take it from me. Do with that information as you will. But take it from me that it is a tool that can cause some serious harm if you are not careful. There are, I've watched a lot of videos and I've seen a lot of people using a table saw. They use it with great fear of the actual tool, which I find is not really good, because if you have a fear or if you're afraid of the tool that you are using, how do I say this? If you have a fear for the tool, if you have a fear for the table saw, and you start using push sticks when you have plenty of material between the fence and the blade, there's no gripping power or control over your piece. But that's what push sticks are for, is for that very minimal space. You can't get your fingers safely between the blade and the fence, and so therefore you need a push stick. But also with that takes knowledge and understanding of your tool, that you need to keep your piece very tight to the fence. That's the most important. That's what causes the kickback. And here I am full circle. So a kickback is when the piece of material that you are pushing through the table saw gets away from the fence, and all of a sudden the saw blade that is rotating towards you grabs onto that piece that has come away from the fence, and it'll come back around and whip around and hit you wherever it wants to hit you, whether it's lifted off the table, hits you in the face, neck, chest, or whether it just whips around and then it hits you in the hip, gut, however tall you are on the fence. That's on the table saw. So that is what a kickback is. Those are not fun. I've had plenty in my day. Because it was just being careless, not being smart with the tool, not respecting the fact that the tool will always win. So I'm showing you here, I've got a board that I'm going to slide around on the table because I'm just trying to show you that it's moving quite freely now. I do show that the piece of wood that I have had some blowout in the back, and I was moving it across a freshly waxed table, and now there's a gash in my wax, so I would have to re-wax that to make that disappear, but that's what it was. There it is. That is the table saw. It's a Delta, like I said, a 36-725 T as in Tango, 2. And that's how you start. That's the very first thing you should do before ever using your table saw, other than assembling it. But that's the first thing that you should do prior to you turning on that table saw is you should wax your tabletop. I want to thank everybody for listening. Be kind to one another. Do something nice for somebody, for a stranger. And we'll see you next time on the podcast.